I don't know. Roguelites feel so grindy.
No, I know they do, but with Dave the Diver, you always feel like just ahead of the power curve. It's actually really nice.
There you are. All right, guys, sit down. I've got something I need to tell you.
You're dying.
Cecil's not coming back?
No. It's worse. It's worse than that. You see, this week's episode is subject. It's no coincidence.
You mean Virginia Hall, the World War II spy? How so?
Okay, because I am a spy for other podcasts.
Really? What do you do?
Pass along metrics mostly, download numbers, emails, just, all that stuff.
For who, though?
Wait, Heath, when did you get here?
What are you talking about? I've been here the whole time. I was with you outside the door.
Oh, you didn't talk, so I didn't know you were here.
What? Why would you not know?
Never mind. Tom, you had a thing? It was a thing you had?
Yeah, see, I'm not really sure who I was spying for. They use a pseudonym. So the guy, he calls himself the Mail Demon. It's pretty cool, actually. He approached me a few years ago for information. I've been feeding him what I've got ever since, and this is harder. But also, we're in love. So, it's nothing personal. I'm really sorry, guys.
Let me see that. Yeah, that's what I thought. Tom, that's Mail Demon. It means that you just had the address wrong. You've been feeding information to an error message for years.
Also, how are they in love? Doesn't it just send your own email back to you?
But just, I thought we had a lot in common. We're into the same stuff.
You know what? This tracks, actually.
Yeah, no, I see it.
It does.
You got to talk earlier. Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts, because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Eli Bosnick, and I'll be leading the buffoon platoon tonight, but I'll need some cannon fodder. First up, two men who are over the ridge and over the hill, Tom and Noah.
Over the ridge? Is that a thing?
No idea.
Pointing out that I'm old is worth sacrificing coherence for, Tom. That's
Thank you.
Nailed it then.
Okay.
And that was my strong one, so get ready. Also joining us tonight, the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B,
that's pretty good.
Okay.
Keith Enright.
Actually, all right. I like that. I like that song. I do play the trumpet. I've played that song on trumpet. This is positive.
Okay,
I
there
like
we
this.
go.
Normally these aren't positive. Hey, maybe this is my new thing. My new thing is I'm a trumpet guy.
No.
Because
You're still tall.
I do a lot of
You're
trumpet
still
stuff.
tall and you
I
fucked
played
him up.
trumpet for a long time. Mom's a music
Only your
teacher. I'm a
mom
trumpet guy.
sent me a photo of you during your trumpet
Trumpet
playing
guy.
times I could share with our audience.
Trumpet guy.
Before
Eli,
we
start
begin-
the thing.
Before we begin tonight, I'd like to thank our patrons. Patrons, without you, we'd be charging into the fray of funny unfunded. If you'd like to learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around till the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Noah, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
Today, and I'm really excited about this, we're going to talk about Virginia Hall.
And Tom, you gave this gal the once-over. Are you ready to show us what she's made of?
Well, if I didn't, Eli, I wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
All right, Tom, so who was Virginia Hall?
All right,
Bet he's
so
not going to answer right away.
okay, you set a precedent of about 100 episodes or so, and everyone calls you out. I've been away from writing essays for what feels like a very long time, and while I've enjoyed the break, I also kind of had this weird anxiety that while I was away, someone else was going to hear about the one-legged World War II lady spy that won the Distinguished Service Cross, and then you guys would beat me to that story. But since no one did,
I'm so
I now
mad.
get
This
to-
is such a good story.
I now get to tell you guys about one of history's greatest badasses that you probably didn't learn about in high school because she neglected to be a man and therefore wasn't worth mentioning in history books.
Yeah, no, I went to high school in America, Tom, where historical women are strictly remembered for sewing flags and fucking presidents.
So pretty much from her very beginning, Virginia Hall was better and smarter and just more awesome than pretty much everyone you will ever meet. She was born in 1906, and Virginia Hall was an exceptionally gifted student of language. She attended Radcliffe College of Harvard University and Barnard College of Columbia University, where, unlike pretty much all other white Americans, she learned not only one additional language, but 3: French, Italian, and German. So, like, pretty much all the most important languages to know if, say, a massive land war was about to explode across Western Europe at any time.
I mean, maybe French was useful at the beginning, Tom, but not for very long. I think we can all agree.
She also attended classes at George Washington University, likely because the other nearby colleges just ran out of courses she hadn't taken. And there she added economics to her repertoire of expertise. While at George Washington University, Virginia decided she wanted to explore the world and her options and travel to Europe to complete her voluminous education. So she traveled across Europe, studying in France, Germany, and Austria before getting work at the American Embassy in Warsaw, Poland as a clerk by 1931, though she didn't stay there over long and transferred to Izmir, Turkey shortly after.
Jesus fucking Christ. A woman living in a time where she could just barely vote and crossing the Atlantic was risking a James Cameron level disaster is more widely traveled at 25 than my 46-year-old ass whose only excuse is figuring out trains is a whole thing. Jesus. That's sad.
And how brilliant as she undoubtedly was, she was not, it must be said, spectacularly graceful, as she shot her own fucking leg after tripping on a fence while out hunting birds. And since it was 1933 and medicine was still pretty much shit, she ended up getting gangrene and nearly died before surgeons decided to amputate her leg. So birds 1, Virginia 0, I guess, on that one.
All right, I gotta say though, I love that she's gonna become a spy somehow with one leg, just like a bush with a peg leg and a newspaper walking behind a Nazi general. Normal leg whistling. News.
Yeah,
One leg.
Sorry if I'm too late with this, Tom, but if she ends up with a leg that's actually a machine gun by the end of this, that was not a documentary you were watching. So just to be clear.
Undeterred by the loss of her pin, Virginia, ever the badass, availed herself of the high-tech prosthetic options available at the time and ended up with a wooden appendage that she nicknamed Cuthbert. Cuthbert and Virginia returned to embassy work, and she took up positions in Venice and then Estonia, because I guess clerking jobs required a lot more travel than I would have imagined back then.
I'm sorry, why did she feel the need to name the leg? Did she have a big problem with people walking up and being like, and who is this?
I feel like I'd name my prosthetic leg though, right?
I would, yeah.
Like Peg or something.
But Virginia didn't study all these languages and show up for work in Estonia with one damn leg just to be a clerk. So she applied to U.S. Foreign Service to be a diplomat. Problem being, it was still 1937, and she still did not have a penis. So there was pretty much no chance that she was going to get the job. Though, to the credit of the U.S. Foreign Service, they didn't acknowledge their misogyny, instead referring to a horrific ableist rule against hiring diplomats with disabilities. This despite a recommendation to be hired by none other than Eleanor Roosevelt, who, it must also be noted, was a woman and therefore pretty easy to ignore. And so Virginia quit the Department of State because fuck those guys.
What? Yeah, wait till these motherfuckers hear about Eleanor's husband. Jesus.
Also, that's a weird policy. Like, I'd want my diplomats to be missing as many limbs as possible, right? Like, that's just a better strategy to have
Exactly.
missing limbed diplomats.
No better way to have an upper hand in negotiation than to not have any.
When World War II broke out, Virginia had made her way to France, and she worked as an ambulance driver for the French Army, though that job didn't last much longer than the French Army itself, and so by June of 1940, she found herself in Spain. While in Spain, Virginia chanced to meet George Bellows, a British intelligence officer who knew a goddamn genius when he saw one. And so George put Virginia in touch with Nicholas Boddington, who worked for the Special Operations Executive, or SOE. The SOE was I love this so much, this was a secret British organization created for the purpose of espionage, sabotage, and reconnaissance against the Axis powers, and it was sometimes referred to as the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which is about the most British thing anyone has ever said. So Virginia was all in. After training on spycraft badassery 007 shit, Virginia was sent to Vichy, France in 1941. Now, Vichy, France was kind of mostly unoccupied and quasi-independent at the time, but then also not really, because any freedom of self-governance that Vichy, France had was provisional and supervised by the Germans. Virginia took up a cover job as a reporter for the New York Post.
Okay, good stuff. That's actually, that's good cover to infiltrate Nazis even today.
Yeah.
The position is stuck.
Now, this job gave her license to interview people without seeming too sus, and to file stories and gather intel under the guise of research and reporting. Still, this was fantastically dangerous work. Of the 41 female SOE operatives stationed in France during the war, only 26 would survive the job. Virginia readily became adept at changing her appearance on the fly through makeup and disguises to avoid being identified and killed.
But she has a peg leg. I don't understand. Like, Nazi spies are tailing her. She just like ducks into a phone booth, and they're like, "Wait, now it's a blonde lady with a peg leg. I think we lost her. What do we do?" What the fuck?
I can't get over her cover, right? Yes, the New York Post is writing an article on troop positions for the Society page.
Right, yeah, no. To disguise her true purpose of gathering information for American interests, she pretends to have a job gathering information for different American interests. That seems weird.
That's true.
But the peg leg. Come on, a spy?
Regardless of the peg leg, Virginia was a cracking great spy. On mission in France, she was responsible for arranging contacts between other SOE and resistance operatives, bribing the right people and avoiding bribing the wrong ones, and supervising the distribution of wireless radios across the spy network. She founded the Heckler network of agents, including within it the owner of a prominent brothel in Lyon.
Please tell me that their job was to yell insults at the occupying Nazis from the back of the theater.
The workers in the brothel were able to eavesdrop on German officers and pass along information back to the network because clueless, misogynist fascists flapped their stupid mouths more readily in the company of women they barely recognized as human. And I like that resulted in many of those fascists dying as a result.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes toxic masculinity is good. In this case, when Nazis die from it. Like, these idiots would hire a sex worker and still be so desperate to say something impressive, they'd give away military secrets to make them feel like they charmed that sex worker with their fancy man talking about cool secrets they had. What the fuck?
Heath, as someone who's watched you attempt to flirt multiple times during our career together, I thank the non-existent gods you don't have nuclear secrets. You would absolutely say them.
I don't get as advanced as telling secrets with. Also, now I want hecklers in brothels too. I feel like that would be funny.
I do not. That sounds terrifying, actually. I'd like to be a heckler at a brothel, though.
Ooh, it's a service we could offer.
There we go. Oh,
Boo! Nobody cares about the fucking blockchain. Stop. Stop it. Pay your fucking bill. Leave.
I could get better military secrets on a Minecraft server.
Now, Virginia also had an excellent intuition for danger, probably because she learned to read people in addition to the 5 other languages. Now, when in October of 1941 she got a bad feeling about a meeting with other SOE agents, she chose not to attend and avoided being caught up in a sting operation that captured a dozen other agents. This sting decimated the SOE presence in France, leaving Virginia even more exposed and with vastly less support. Virginia was forced after this to smuggle her missives in the diplomatic pouch of George Whittinghall, an American diplomat in Lyon.
Okay, if that's not code for his butt, this is a boring ending to that anecdote, Tom. You know? You know I'm bored.
Well, I know that I, for one, will strictly be referring to my asshole as my diplomatic pouch from now on, for whatever that's worth.
Despite the immense personal danger, Virginia continued to operate, though conditions were just horrid. At one point, she requested that SOE find a way to smuggle to her a bar of soap so that she might be, quote, very happy and very much cleaner. This was not glamorous work, nor was it free from its own internal politics, squabbles, and assholery. While she assisted in missions with famed spies Peter Churchill and Benjamin Coburn, both of whom lavished her with high praise, other spies and Virginia did not mix. To survive in France, Virginia was scrupulously careful, and she refused to work with other operatives who she regarded as lax or vainglorious. Now, one of Hall's most important jobs for the SOE at this time was to lead an underground railroad out of occupied territory for downed airmen. So using her network of safe houses, which were frequently brothels, Virginia was able to move these men out of France and into neutral Spain and eventually back to England. So just imagine the luck of some guy who survived an airplane crash after being shot at, only to find out that you are now being rescued by hopscotching your way across France, one cat house at a time.
All right, well, we've got a badass spy with a wooden leg and no tolerance for tomfoolery. But will she do other things? Is there more stuff? We'll find out after a little apropos of nothing.
Are you Agent Francois?
Yes, Agent Marco.
Indeed. And this is Commandant Wilhelm.
A pleasure.
Now, we're supposed to be meeting Agent Hall this evening, but I don't see her anywhere.
She the lady with the peg leg?
Dude!
Not cool.
What? Is she the lady with the peg leg?
Yes. But she's a master of disguise, so she could be anyone in this bar.
No, pretty sure that's the lady right over there with a peg leg that you're probably talking about, right?
Perhaps, but with a master of disguise like Hall, you can never know.
I feel like we know.
Gentlemen, it's me!
See? It's her.
Sorry, madam. I don't believe I know you.
What?
Yes, we're meeting a friend, so...
Oh, of course, I forgot I was disguised. How about now?
Agent Hall!
You truly are the devil!
She just took off a hat.
Now, gentlemen, I don't have much time. The Visoire lands tonight, and I plan to disguise myself as his loyal butler of 13 years, Smenkins.
Okay, does Smenkins have a wooden leg?
No, why do you ask?
No reason. Sorry, nothing.
Anyways, gents, I must be off. Whoop-ha!
My goodness, she's vanished into the crowd.
Nope, just put the hat back on. Just put the hat back on. I feel crazy!
All right, well, when we left off, Virginia was using guts and gusto to smuggle the troops through cat houses. What happened next, Tom?
Well, war isn't all smuggling men from brothel to brothel, unfortunately. Recall the raid that resulted in the arrest of the bulk of the SOE agents that were operating in France. Hall learned that those agents were being held at the Malzac prison near Bergerac, and so immediately began plotting for their escape. The prisoners were allowed some visitors, including spouses, which I have to say seems insane to me, but there you have it. Now, Hall recruited the wife of one of the prisoners to help in her plan. Gabby Bloch, wife of Jean-Pierre Bloch, began to smuggle food and other items to her husband.
Did you smuggle them in her diplomatic pouch?
This included tins of sardines.
Okay, so no. So asked and answered. No, she didn't.
Got it. Yep.
Inside the tins of those sardines, Hall put small tools among the oily fish, which enabled one of the SOE prisoners to fashion the tin from the cans into a key. And although Virginia, known to the Germans only as the Limping Lady, was too well known to visit the prison herself, she arranged again for safe houses, for vehicles and other supports, and arranged for a priest to smuggle in a two-way radio into the prison.
Okay, yeah, that's a good move. You go hollowed out Bible, but inside it's just a smaller Bible, right? And then the guards feel bad about checking your diplomatic pouch for a walkie-talkie.
Right,
You got it right in.
Wait, I'm sorry. I don't mean to criticize, but once again, you've got this spy disguised as an investigative reporter type situation. So she had to disguise the contraband as different contraband, which she snuck in? All right.
On July 15th, 1942, the 12 SOE prisoners escaped into the woods while an intense manhunt was underway for their recapture. And the men managed to evade capture, traveling by night and through thick woods until they met up with Virginia nearly a month later on August the 11th. Hall and her contacts smuggled the operatives out of France and into Spain and ultimately back to England. and several of the SOE agents were able to return to France and lead further SOE networks. This jailbreak has been noted by some historians as one of the war's most useful operations of its kind. And as you can imagine, Colonel Klink and associates were none too pleased with having captured and then lost a dozen spies. So they flooded Vichy France with Gestapo and other similar assholes to try to destroy the French resistance and the SOE. And they focused their efforts on Lyon, which was unfortunate since that's where Hall was most well connected, and she was no longer protected by her relationships within the local French police community.
Luckily, Cuthbert still held his sway, so...
Kind of guy you could always lean on, that Cuthbert.
In May
Came
of
through in the crutch. Fuck. It was so slow. It was too slow. I was still working so hard. My nose is bleeding. I got a 3 in there. Nailed it. Tom, go ahead.
In May of 1942, Hall was working with the Gloria Network, a French resistance network transmitting messages to London. A Roman Catholic priest assisted the Nazis because that's pretty much what the Catholics just did at this time. And the German Abwehr captured the leader of the Gloria Network. That same priest made contact with Virginia, and although she at first doubted his veracity, she was ultimately, unfortunately, persuaded that he wasn't a Nazi piece of shit. And as a result, her contacts were compromised and her wireless operators were captured, though Hall herself remained elusive. Gestapo chief Klaus Barbie is quoted as saying, quote, "I would give anything to get my hands on that limping Canadian bitch." And no, she was not in any way from Canada.
Okay, Mattel Company, quick thing, side note. You came out with Barbie in 1959, so what the fuck? Was it between Hitler doll, Mengele doll, or Barbie doll, and it had to be one of those? What happened there?
No.
You couldn't have any other name for that.
So in November of 1942, Hall learned that the Allied invasion of North Africa was about to take place. And she correctly concluded that this would cause the Germans to take over Vichy France completely, and that operating under the radar of the Gestapo would become impossible. So Hall needed to get out of France and quick. She took a train from Lyon to Perpignan and then walked across the 7,500-foot pass through the Pyrenees to Spain, a distance of 50 grueling miles covered on foot in 2 days. On 1 foot in 2 days.
Oh, but to be fair, for her, it was only a 3,750-foot pass. So
No, right. Cuthbert gets credit for 25 of those miles, Tom.
thank you.
Once in London, Hall requested that they find a way to send her back to France, but SOE leaders thought her identity had been compromised.
You don't say.
And so the risks to her safety were just too high. So Hall learned yet another language, this time that of the wireless communications operation, and contacted the American Office of Strategic Services, the OSS. Hall was hired by the Special Operations Branch, and she was returned to France. And since she had a wooden leg, she couldn't parachute in, and was forced to take a gunboat into Brittany to get there, a much more dangerous route. The OSS couldn't wrap their fucking minds around how awesome Hall was, though, so they sent her to France with Henri Lasso, who was to be the leader of the operation. Not because he was more qualified, but simply because they couldn't imagine a woman leading the operation. Once in France, however, Hall quickly ditched Lasso and instructed her contacts not to tell him where she had gone. She viewed him as too talkative and as a security risk.
Well, no, look, if your job is intelligence officer, you're not qualified to be the boss of anybody you can't find, right?
A codenamed Diane, Hall had forged identity papers to set up shop once again, this time working with the OSS to arm and train the Marquis. This was French resistance groups conducting sabotage and guerrilla activity intended to make way for the invasion of Normandy. At this point, however, remember that Virginia was a known quantity to the Germans, who had her on their most wanted list. So she lived perpetually in disguise as an elderly woman. Her limp got lost in the slow, measured gait that she adopted, And she even went so far as to file down her teeth to better resemble those of a woman much older.
Okay, just arrest every woman in France with a peg leg. How hard is this? Okay, again, it's weird. I'm giving notes to the Gestapo here.
Yeah.
I see how that's a weird thing to do. Why aren't they I don't understand how this is working. So impressive.
How often were her teeth getting noticed that that's where she needed to make a change?
Right.
Right, a tooth-based catching happened, but not a leg-based one? Really? And then she fixed it with the files? Come on.
Hall roamed the south of France as an elderly woman, sometimes pretending to be an old milkmaid, and even sometimes selling cheese to German soldiers to eavesdrop as they casually talked around her.
Okay, so now that's how you get nuclear secrets out of heat.
Yeah, 100%.
Brinos Veritas.
She found and organized drop zones, established safe houses,
Latin.
and made contacts within the French resistance. Hall also served the resistance by supplying and training them with weapons, to the tune of hundreds of men armed and trained by a one-legged woman with filed-down teeth. These resistance groups successfully engaged in many attacks on infrastructure and soldiers because of Virginia's help. So Hall ditched her old lady costume to take on her next OSS assignment, which was to harass the Germans in southern France in advance of the invasion of Normandy. The problem, however, was that despite her enormous balls, Virginia, still no penis, and therefore technically only a second lieutenant, a rank which didn't buy her enough credibility to do the work she needed to do. She tried to offer financial assistance and weapons if they would just fucking listen to her, but they wouldn't until she arranged for 3 plane loads of supplies and weapons, at which point they shut their dumb mouths and got on board the Virginia is Awesome train.
Come on. Her
As a
idea had leg. Leg.
As a result,
I don't know
of
if you
her-
guys heard me. I feel like maybe just Tom heard me.
It's kind of a
Leg.
running joke, actually.
Running. Nice.
As a result of her arranging the supply drops and weapons training, the Marquis forces forced the German occupiers to withdraw from Le Puy-en-Velay and retreat north.
She's like, I literally pay you to shut up and listen. I love it because, like, I'm sorry to say, every woman I've ever known has probably wanted to say that to me at least once. You know, I get it.
Not just women. Hall then traveled to Austria to foment anti-Nazi resistance until the end of the war, after which she returned to the OSS and wrote reports detailing all of the contacts that helped make her work possible so that they would receive commendations.
Okay, that's good. But did we need to foment a lot of that? Was that not already like fomented around Europe pretty good by now? The anti-Nazi stuff?
Yeah, what is her argument that's going to convince the fucking fence sitters on
were
the
there
Nazi
fence sitters
question?
this point?
Right? Like,
And they were like, this is a good pamphlet. You know what? Okay.
well, I'm a moderate. I'm a Nazi moderate. Once the reports detailing the contributions of others were complete, she promptly resigned from the OSS. She did receive the Distinguished Service Cross in 1945. She was the only civilian woman in the Second World War to receive that honor, and even that commendation she accepted without fuss, refusing an audience and even spurning President Truman from attending the ceremony.
Yeah. Do I want to meet the guy who I had to bribe to keep being a spy for his country? No, I think I'll pass. I think I will pass on that.
But commendations for her compatriots would not be forthcoming. Most of those who helped Hall throughout the war did not survive it. 2 of her closest allies, including the brothel owner in Lyon, were captured and sent to concentration camps, and although they survived, they were given no recompense for their heroism aiding the war effort. Hall herself managed to raise 400 pounds for her friends, but this was obviously a paltry sum compared to the enormity of their actions.
Damn it, Tom, we were all having a good time here.
Yeah.
However, delightfully, the priest who had betrayed her and nearly resulted in her capture, well, he was executed in Paris, so, sometimes good things happen.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Virginia joined the CIA in 1947, one of the first women to be hired by the agency, though as a woman, she faced very heavy discrimination, a fact the CIA itself now admits was true. She was passed over for promotions, honors, and work, and given a desk job gathering information about the Soviets.
Right. And according to the timescale of a lot of our episodes, she was sitting there while several of our CIA sits on their own balls events we've already covered must have been happening.
Yep.
So in the 1950s, she again headed an ultra-secret paramilitary operation in France as a model for how to set up resistance groups in Europe in case of a Soviet attack. Despite the discrimination, she became a valued member of the Special Activities Division, which I like that that's abbreviated as SAD, by the way, which supported undercover activity designed to halt the spread of communism. She retired from spycraft at the agency only when she was forced by age to retire in 1966.
She's like, not now, assholes. I finally caught up with my teeth.
A CIA report, once secret and now less so, detailed that she had been sidelined, shunted into backwater accounts because she had so much experience that she overshadowed her male colleagues who felt threatened by her, and that her experience and abilities were never properly utilized. So here's a woman who stared down the Gestapo on one leg, who filed down her own teeth like Noah before a Zelda launch, and the shriveled dick manosphere dickbags basically sent her out for fucking coffee. And as bad as that was, she relentlessly pursued her calling in spycraft and service against fascism. And when she died in 1982, she never granted a single interview.
And if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, what would it be?
The CIA are pussies. Afraid of pussies.
And are you ready for the quiz?
Let's do it.
All right, Tom. Virginia Hall's amazing honeypot spy brothel was obviously called the Glory Mole. What was the best name for the dating app she used to find her marks? Was it A, Tindler's List, B, OKKK Cupid, C, Amputee Harmony, because the legs,
These are
or
in good
D,
taste.
or D, was it Stumble?
Oh,
Bumble?
No.
These
Because
are all...
peg legs.
Well, I think it's secret answer E, all of the classy answers above.
that is correct. Don't skip peg day.
All right. Well, I'm here to make Heath look classy. So, Virginia refused to take credit for much of her work as a spy. Why was that, Tom? A, she was but one leg of their journey.
Okay.
B, a true patriot knows you can never do a nub for your country.
What? Oh, come on.
What?
Or C,
No, I was so mad about A and B, but like furious, like seething about A.
C, her bosses really went out on a limb for her.
Okay, C is the only good one on there. C is the only one that I don't feel embarrassed for you, so I'm going C.
Yeah, that's it. That's the correct.
All right. Rather than stoop to the kind of ableist humor that my co-hosts just offered up, I figured I'd end this segment with something tasteful for a change.
I think we were disablest. We were
so-
saying it's better.
Oh, so Tom, in the interest
Yes,
of good
Noah.
taste,
Yeah, I'm glad we're getting canceled. I'm trying to do a hero here. But
right?
that's
No,
good.
I'm gonna
This'll
turn.
cancel
Don't worry,
us.
I'm gonna turn it all around.
Yeah.
Which
good. All right.
was the least popular in Mattel's original line of Nazi Barbies? A. Concentration camp counselor Barbie. B. Girl Stapo Barbie. C. The Barbie Swasta convertible playset. Or D. Zyklon Beekeeper Barbie.
Oh,
There
God.
it is.
All right. Secret answer E. I'm not picking one of those. I'm not picking one
I think
of
that's
those.
correct.
That is
I am
the
not
correct
picking
answer,
one of those.
That sounds correct.
All right, I win
Sure.
because I'm me and I
Sure.
win.
Yeah, no.
And
that
I
sounds good.
want Noah to do an essay next week.
Something about that question just really inspired you to let me talk more. Okay. All right.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, for Tom, Noah, Heath, I'm Eli. Thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, Noah will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can listen to Heath and Tom's new show, You Gonna Finish That, on Quibi, and you can check out Noah and I's video game podcast in a dimension where cloning is possible. And if you'd like to help keep this show going, you can make a per-episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod. Or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past show notes, connect with us on social medias, or check the show notes, be sure to check out pitationsod.com. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past show notes, connect with us on social medias, or check the show notes. Be sure to check out
Just do that last sentence one more time. It was insane.
I actually
Thank you, Heath. Thank you.
I would actually like to keep it. I like that occasionally I say words that aren't English on our podcasts, and people just
Maybe
live with
just
it.
this part, though.
Okay. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes. Connect with us on social media.
You said in
or-
putch. I think you said in
You
putch.
smell burnt toast right now? What is happening?
Okay. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes.
Oh my God.
Connect with us on social media or
And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes. Connect with us on social media or check the show notes. Or sure to check out citationpod.com, everybody.
just flash
There you go.
forward to himself in the editing room being like, I will not be I will literally jump in with my own fucking voice.
If you want to get in diplomatic pouch with us, check out past episodes.
Hey, Tom, buddy, you doing okay?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I sent a breakup email to Mail Demon, but what do you know? While I was writing mine, he was writing his. I mean, it's just, that's classic us, you know?
Tom, we told. You know what? Never mind. I'm really sorry to hear that, man.
I always wrote so beautifully.
Okay.